So this guy comes into the store where I work. He sees a show. He's a fan of the show. And he's like, hey, did you hear anything about a dead body getting dragged out from underneath the Boylan Bridge a couple weeks ago?
I'd have to say no to that.
What?
I'd have to say no to that.
Carol's like, I have to say no to that. Yeah, so I'm like, no, I have not heard anything about a dead body being dragged out from under the Boylan Bridge a few weeks ago. He's like, yeah, I was driving by Boylan Street one day and I saw these cops underneath the bridge and I stopped my car. Carol, you know he's a troublemaker, right?
Yeah,
He stopped. He stopped. It was like, oh, look at all those popos underneath that bridge. That bridge I drive by every day. Oh, I should probably stop and see what that's about. You know he's a troublemaker. That's like government's already on him. I'm not saying, it may be her, and I'm saying him to like throw him off the trail.
Yeah.
But he comes up to me and he says, yeah, did you hear anything about this? He says, I watched the news that night. I watched the news the next night. I watched the news the night after that. I read the N&O that day. I read the N&O the day after. Nothing. He says, I saw it with this is a guy I trust, Carol.
Yeah.
This is not like my cousin and his sister-in-law's dog saw this dead body being dragged out from underneath the Boylan Bridge, right? This is a guy who saw it, stopped, and said, hey, that's a dead body, covered up on a stretcher, being carried out by Popo and ambulance people from underneath the Boylan Street Bridge. And Carol, he's dealt with the homeless underneath there.
Yeah.
That's why he stopped. He knows there's been some homeless living underneath the Boylan Street Bridge. For years that's been happening. And so he's like, what's going on? Right? So he asked me, and I'm like, no, I don't know anything about that. So I tweet, Carol. Can I tell you what it sounds like when I tweet?
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. I went at one of the N&O's reporters, Colin Campbell, who's a good guy. He covers inside the Beltline, except when it comes to dead bodies, apparently. And I tweeted at him. I went, oh, wait. And, I tweeted. And I said, did you hear anything about a dead body being dragged? And he's like, no, that's not my beat. But Tomasio McDonald or so-and-so, somebody's got that beat. I'll pass it along. I haven't heard anything, Carol.
That's weird.
Come on. A dead body on a stretcher gets pulled out from underneath the Boylan Street Bridge? That doesn't make the papers? I think, Carol, I'm going to call the N&O tomorrow, see if they found out anything. And if they haven't, I think I'm going to call the Popo. I think I should, she says. I think you should. I should. Do you care? I mean, are we New York yet, Carol? Are we Chicago yet, where a dead body's nothing? Inquiring minds want to know about the identity of the dead body that was pulled out on a stretcher from underneath the Boylan Street Bridge a couple of weeks ago. Why is that not in the papers? Bah! All right. So I guess, Carol, like so many other things, I'm such a martyr. It's incumbent upon me to tell the truth to Raleigh about the important crap. I almost said the shit word. I didn't say the T. I did not. I did not. The t. You have to put your tongue at the top of the top of the roof. T. Say it. T. The tongue has to hit the top of the roof of your mouth. Mine did not. So stop your complaining. But the point is, I have to tell you about this. Okay. Just keep in mind that the dead body underneath the Boylan Street Bridge, if it's true. Carol, if it's not true, this never happened. The alleged body, she says. All right, let's move on to the coal ash stuff. Can we do that? Oh, guys, I don't want to talk about the Hobby Lobby thing. The coal ash stuff is number 9, I think. 8. Oh, okay. So right now, as we speak, the North Carolina Republicans, in their infinite wisdom, they're trying to figure out which sites of Duke's 32 plus, I think it's 32 or 33 coal ash ponds, which ones are high priority, Carol? Which ones are the empty, or not empty, but the unlined holes in the ground where Duke has been dumping toxic coal ash for decades? Decades. Oh, right, but we can't subsidize solar, Carol. But we're subsidizing Duke and toxic coal ash. Duke's been dumping these toxic coal ash, that's the residue from burning coal. There's no rules for this federally. It's not considered toxic waste, but it's toxic waste. Why is it not considered toxic waste at the federal level? Because Duke and people like it, companies like it, buy off politicians. It's toxic waste. Don't kid yourself. Toxic coal ash. So right now, as we speak, as you watch, the North Carolina Republicans are trying to decide which of Duke's 30-plus coal ash ponds are high priority. Can I do? This is why I need arms, Carol. Can I do air quotes? Wait, let's do air quotes. Ready? High priority. Okay, something like that. What do you do? Oh, yes. Are you ready? Duke's trying to say, ready? High priority. Oh, that was good, Carol. Thank you. All right. So they're falling all over themselves. The Republicans are fighting amongst themselves to get their personal counties, coal ash ponds, included so they can go back home and say, oh, I'm an environmentalist. I stopped Duke from polluting our groundwater. Remember, monkeys. So they've got a list of the high priority ones that Duke's going to have to clean up first, right? Carol, can I describe to you what all these coal ash ponds are?
Sure, do it.
Ready, monkeys? One word. Ready? Duke's coal ash ponds. Ready? 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 What are Duke's coal ash ponds? One word. You ready? Unlined. Unlined. Garbage dumps are lined. You put a lining underneath the pit. Unlined. Coal ash dumps. Garbage dumps can't be put near rivers. They're regulated. You can't put an unlined pit filled with toxic garbage from you and me. You can't do that near a river. But Duke has never had any regulations. Why? Because Duke has bought off the politicians. So Duke's got 30-plus unlined coal ash ponds. These are just holes in the ground with toxic coal ash leaking constantly. There's no such thing as one as high priority. All of Duke's coal ash ponds are unlined in North Carolina. All of them. 30 plus in 14 counties around the state, or 14 sites, around the state. All of them. Go to my Twitter page. I link to articles about this. All they are is holes in the ground with toxic waste leaking into the ground and the groundwater. That's it. That's it. 30 plus unlined coal ash ponds leaking chemicals into the ground. And the Republicans are fighting amongst themselves, Carol, to get theirs included on a priority list. All of them are a priority. It's hilarious to watch these newly environmentalist Republicans, Carol. Oh, I'm an environmentalist too. Because if you got a toxic coal ash pond in your district right now, it don't matter if you're Republican or Democrat. Nope. You gotta deal with your people back home, living next to that river. You can't put an unlined garbage dump next to a river, but Duke's been able to put unlined coal ash ponds in 14 sites, 30 plus coal ash ponds all over the state. And now, and they want you to pay for it. They're going to go to the Utilities Commission, Carol, and that's appointed by politicians. They get donations from Duke. Duke wants to raise your rates to pay for that. These are toxic coal ash ponds, unlined, leaching chemicals that they've avoided dealing with for years by buying off politicians. And now that they had a major spill and people are going, what are these things? Oh my God, you've got these unlined coal ash ponds, this toxic waste just sitting there in big holes in the ground next to our groundwater? Oh my God. Duke's like, oh, shoot. you better help us pay for those to clean them up. And the Republicans are going to do it. Pat McCrory wants to do it. I don't know, though, Carol. Here's what's cool. You ready? You ready? You ready? The Republicans don't seem to like Pat McCrory used to work for Duke. Our governor used to work for Duke Energy. So Duke Energy probably thought they were fine. But now you've got all these Republicans in the House and Senate going, we don't like these coal ash ponds, and we want them cleaned up. Let's see what finally happens, monkeys. Let's see what finally happens. They can't blame it. Well, they can blame it on the Democrats, Carol, because Carol's like, they can't blame it on the Democrats, and she's right. Not now. What are you going to do now? But the Democrats let it go for years too, Carol, when they were in control, because Duke bought them off too. Duke bought off Jim Black and all those guys, all those corrupt guys. And now Duke wants you to pay for the fact that Duke was like, let's just pay politicians a little bit of money, a couple grand. Instead of paying the millions, it would cost us to actually line these ponds and prevent them from leaching into our chemicals, toxic chemicals, into our groundwater. So now you got all these Republicans going, my county's a priority. Ha! Bastards. It's hilarious. They're doing that right now, today. They're going to have a long night. They broke for dinner just a few hours ago. Right? They're all trying to put amendments in. My county, and they're all getting mad at each other. Here's the bottom line, monkeys. Bottom line. Duke needs to clean up their act. Duke needs to not have you and I pay for it. Duke needs to have its shareholders pay for it, because Duke has made the decision for decades to buy off politicians instead of doing the right thing, cleaning up its coal ash ponds. The feds don't even consider coal ash toxic waste because Duke and people like them bought them off too. Bullcrap. It's toxic waste in unlined ponds, leaching into the groundwater. All of Duke's sites, all 30 of them, are high priority. But you got the Republicans now going, well, my county's high priority. Yeah, because, my voters, I better bring something back to my voters on this. Because voters in their home districts know now that there's a coal ash pond in their district, unlined, leaching chemicals into the groundwater every day. There's no such thing as a low priority coal ash pond site in North Carolina. They're all unlined. They all are the coal ash is held in ponds that are less regulated than basic garbage dumps. All right, Carol, did I make my point?
I think you did.
Let's move on. Hobby Lobby?
Hobby Lobby.
Hobby Lobby? Hobby Lobby? Hobby Lobby? Hobby Lobby?
Can we
Hobby
try
Lobby?
mention your name again after this?
Hobby Lobby? Hobby Lobby?
Stop saying it.
Doesn't it sound Muslim? Can we do that? Can we make Hobby Lobby into some kind of, can we call up the anti-Muslim bigots? Can we get them excited? Hobby Lobby, did you know they pretend to be fundamentalist Christians, but really they're like ISIS? Oh, that could work, Carol. I can see that really backfiring, so forget I ever said it. It was a joke. But here's the thing. I tweeted, show my Twitter page, Carol, if you don't mind, please. Thank you. I tweeted a couple of really thoughtful links. There's a couple of really, Lawrence Tribe is saying this isn't as wide-reaching a decision as it might be. There's a couple of good articles that I tweeted about this. But basically, the problem is people like Lawrence Tribe say it's not really that wide-reaching, that far-reaching of a decision. Their problem is they're not recognizing the future. Already, we're seeing Hobby Lobby is a for-profit company. Oh my God, Carol, we just got to get some Muslim doing the call to prayer. Hobby Lobby, Hobby Lobby, Hobby Lobby. Oh my God, it's fundamentalists. It's all fundamentalists. I've offended everyone now, haven't I? I've even offended the atheists. So, Hobby Lobby, Hobby Lobby. Oh my gosh, it's a conspiracy from Al-Qaeda. So anyway, no, really, seriously, what about a Muslim company What about Saudi Arabia that's buying up all this real estate in New York, right? The most fundamentalist Wahhabist brand of Islam in Saudi Arabia, well, since ISIS. But, you know, they were really fundamentalists. What if you got a company, this decision, what if you got a company that's, fundamentalist Muslim? Huh? They allowed to do whatever they want? Sharia law in the United States? Don't the Republicans hate that? Isn't that their bugaboo? That's what they're like, ooh, Sharia law, Sharia law, Sharia law. Well, you know, Constitution applies equally to everyone, right? Although this wasn't a constitutional issue. This was a really relatively narrow procedural issue based on a statutory issue based on a 1993 law is what people are saying. But here's the thing. It still opens up all this culture war stuff. And Carol, even pro-Obama fundamentalist Christians who are pro-Obama, they're out there. There's liberal Christians that, believe very strongly in Christ and resurrection, and, Jews who believe very strongly they're the chosen people and they vote for Obama. They're out there. Fundamentalist Christians and Jews who are lefties. Even they, Carol, are using this decision now to say that Obama's executive order last week, banning discrimination from federal contractors, needs to have some exemptions for religious groups. Discrimination in employment, basic, not providing contraception. They're saying, well, that's decision about contraception, idiotic as their views on contraception are. But this decision on contraception means that we need to carve out an exemption for religious groups in the federal executive order that you just announced about, federal contractors not being allowed to discriminate against lesbian, gay, transgender, and bisexual people. Even these are pro-Obama Christians and Jews signing a letter, using this new Supreme Court decision, asking for an exemption in the law preventing a federal contractor from firing someone just because they're a lesbian or gay or transgender or bisexual. Just firing them. That's all Obama's executive order for federal contractors does. It says you can't fire anybody or hire anybody just because they're gay or lesbian. This is what the religious groups are freaking out about. We want to be able, they're saying in their Christ-like way, we want to be able to fire somebody just because we found out that in their private life they're gay. It hurts our religious freedom to have anybody who in their private life is gay working in our building. Bull crap. Bull crap. That's using religion as a cloak for bigotry. Bull crap. That's using religion as a cover so that people don't notice that you're a damn bigot. I want to be able to fire somebody at my workplace just because they're gay or lesbian. Or I want to be able to not hire somebody if I think they look like they might be gay or lesbian or trans or bi. That's what they're asking for. And all sorts of religious groups are going to start doing this now because of the Hobby Lobby decision about contraception. And they're going to push and push and push. And we need to push back. Can I suggest that I don't know what you plan on doing tomorrow, Carol? You got a hot date with your girlfriend?
I do.
Carol has a hot date with her girlfriend. You guys have a hot date every night. And you have 2 cats. I love their cats. Their cats are great.
Don't forget the chickens and the ducks.
And the chickens and the ducks. Oh, she gives me great eggs. I love the eggs I get from Carol and Jen and their chickens and ducks. And you know what, Carol? My neighbors love them too. She feeds like our whole block. Carol and Jen's chickens and ducks feed our whole block for breakfast every week. So anyway, what was I saying?
I don't even know.
What were we saying? Oh, yes. Hiring and firing. Carol, what they want to be able to do is just not hire someone if they look like they're lesbian or gay. Even if it's an effeminate, well, what's the thing about the effeminate straight guy? And they exist because Lord knows I hit on them enough. Hey, I heard you laughing. Don't laugh at me because I tend to be attracted to the effeminate straight guys. It's a curse. Monkeys, you straight people do not know how hard it is to be attracted to the effeminate straight guys. You just want to go like, really? No, really? You've been out all your life with people calling you fag and stuff like that. Why don't you give it a shot? No. So the point is, what's the point? Oh, yeah. Just because you look a certain way, they want the right to say, hey, I didn't hire them because they look like they might be a fag or a dyke or whatever. That's what they're lobbying for. That's the quote, oh, that works, Carol. That looks pretty good. Quote. All right, just one quote is all we need here on TV. The quote, moral, end quote, approach that they're pretending to take is that we want to be able to fire someone or not hire them just because we think they look gay or look lesbian. That's what they want. That's the exemption. Why should they be allowed to fire a group? Why should there be any kind of religious exemption in hiring or firing? We're not talking about, like demanding that they show up at pride marches, Carol. We're just talking about hiring and firing, the workplace. And the whole idea that Hobby Lobby is, look at all those great businesses. Look at all those great businesses. Those are great business. We endorse every single one of them, especially Grizzlebees. Why are we talking about this? Why are we talking about Hobby Lobby not wanting to provide contraceptive coverage? Why? Because we get our health insurance from our bosses. Stupid. Why do we get our health insurance from our bosses? Should our bosses' political views have anything to do with our insurance coverage? Stupid. It's because America's the only industrialized country in the world that doesn't have some sort of centralized government health insurance exchange. That's why. So we have to worry about what the idiots at the top of Hobby Lobby, the fundamentalist idiots, feel about gay and lesbian people or contraception or whatever. That's why.
For Chinese abortion.
Yeah, but yeah, thank you, Carol. Thank you for that reminder. Hobby Lobby still does business with the Chinese government. Hobby Lobby does business with the Chinese government, which encourages its citizens to abort babies. Right? They limit population. They provide abortions regularly. The Chinese government is probably responsible for way more abortions than anything that happens in the United States. That's a guess. I'm not saying it's a fact. That's a guess.
Odds are good.
Odds are good, Carol says. Carol, sometimes your comments are dead on point. Did you know that? I would say always. Carol's good, monkeys. My director knows what she's doing. 30 seconds. So, why is Hobby Lobby? No, seriously, if this is so important to them, why is Hobby Lobby still doing business with the Chinese government that has a policy of encouraging abortions?
Probably paying for them.
And probably paying for them, Carol says, yeah.
10 seconds.
All right. Think about that, monkeys. We'll see you next week. Love each other. Mwah.